delayed gratification. I know, but it is really good for your brain and for your soul. So let's go shoot today with the brand new Fujifilm X-Half. Okay, so it's a little gloomy outside, so I'm gonna choose a film stock that's very vibrant and that will actually have the colors that we do see show up very nicely. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with Velvia Vivid, literally making it vivid. And what I'm going to do with that is I am going to lock myself into film mode. So I'm choosing Velvia Vivid, and then I'm choosing the number of shots I want on the roll, which I wanna go ahead and go with 36. And then I'm locked into this film stock for 36 frames, so I cannot see my photos until later, and I also can't change any settings. It's kind of exciting to just not constantly check what I'm doing, but just go out there and shoot. There are a few options I have while shooting. For example, I can switch it between autofocus and manual focus, and I'm gonna keep it on autofocus right now just to keep the pressure low. So I can see up here, I can see the battery, I can see that the film is okay, I can see the date, and I can see how many frames I have. So out of 36, I shot 0, and that's all my settings for now. So let's go. The Fujifilm X-Half is a compact camera with a 1-inch sensor and a fixed lens. It records vertically in a 3:4 format and offers 13 film simulations, 26 unique filters, and a fun 2-in-1 mode for combining visuals. It's designed to create a fun film camera-like experience and to deliver creative results straight out of the camera. So there's some hot dog stands, which I think are really cute. They're so vibrant. Let's go.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? That was the first frame. I actually have to advance it. All right, let's get another one from right here. I keep looking as if I can see it, but I can't. The other crazy thing is that it is vertical, so it's a half frame, which is explains the name. So yeah, the other crazy thing is that it is a half frame, which means when I hold it like this, even though it's horizontal, it actually takes a vertical photo. So it's a little, like, takes a little getting used to shooting, but it's honestly really cool. It's like, it feels very natural after a few shots. Everyone's always so friendly in New York City. All right, we got some art and culture right here, so let's try to get some of that. I also love this lens. The wide angle is so nice. Feels very versatile. This team looks cool. Let me see if I can get something. Oh. All right, that was shot 11. Let's go. Let's actually just go around the corner, and there's the really beautiful cave from the Natural History Museum. Let's take some photos of that. This is actually so perfect for the half frame. It's very nice to frame this. I love this place. Excuse me, can I take a photo of your dog? Oh, thank you so much. Hi, what a beauty. Oh, it's so pretty. Hi. Oh, so pretty. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good day. This actually looks really cool with the purple and the gold in the back. Get another one without the building permits in the back. All right, I'm gonna do a little mirror situation right here. Would I even be a photographer if I didn't take a photo of myself in the mirror? I don't think so. Okay, so the cops are here coming to arrest me because I can't see my shots yet, but we actually also can use the non-film mode. So we can freely choose our film right here, which I want to go with the Fuji Classic Chrome. I think that looks cool. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. And I'm gonna play around with some of the filters because this thing also has really cool filters to play around with. Also, when you are in film camera mode, you have to use the optical viewfinder, so you have to put it up to your face. And it's kind of cute. That's how I shoot with my film cameras too. It gives you such a different shooting feeling than like looking at the screen. There's something about just looking through the camera. So who is this camera for? I think this camera would be great for film lovers who just want a little bit more convenience. Maybe your film lab is really far away or it's just getting a little expensive. And this camera really gives you a lot of flexibility when it comes to shooting film, and Fujifilm's film stocks are amazing. So I really like this camera as somebody who shoots predominantly film. I also think that this could be a really great camera for personal work, maybe for a professional who wants a bit more of a slow down, minimalist workflow. This one would be amazing as a family camera even. I think there's a lot of uses for a camera like this, and I think it's a very innovative concept to ask the question, okay, we can do everything with technology. We can do 1,000 megapixels. No, not really that, but we can do so much with technology. But what if we slow down a little bit? And what if we bring back some of the joy of anticipation that we get from film and bring that to a digital camera? And I think this camera asks that question. Just what if we go a different route? And I like it. I really like it. I really like shooting with it, and I like what it does to your shooting style and your workflow in general. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the outside of this camera. So we got this beautiful lens right here. It's 10.8mm, which creates really fun images. I think it's really great for traveling and for snapshots really, which is what this camera is amazing for. We've got two touch screens in the back. One of them you can flip through the film simulations, and the other one is mostly for general menu settings. And it's really fun to use these two touch screens together because it kind of feels like you're operating like a video game controller. We've got an optical viewfinder because when you're locked into film mode, you actually can't use the screen in the back for previews, obviously. So you have to look through the optical viewfinder, which doesn't have a screen in it. So what you're looking at is real life essentially, and you have to use your creativity and vision to envision what the shot is going to look like, which is very similar to film cameras. We've got a flash button right here, so you can turn the flash on when you're having a night out and want to use this as your party camera, which I think is a great party camera. Another cool thing is that it has the aperture ring, which is an actual aperture ring that makes a little click, which I like. Lowest aperture is 2.8, so it's great for portraits as well. This lens also has a manual focusing ring, which also works while you're in the film lock mode if you choose manual focus. So that also gives a little bit of creative control, but of course the autofocus works really well as well. We've got the shutter button up here, so very intuitive, very reminiscent of the old film cameras. And most importantly, we have the film advance lever. So when you're shooting with the film mode, you actually do have to advance the film, which, you know, you might consider it a little bit silly because you're not actually advancing a film, but I do find that it helps with really taking a step between shots. So you can't just fire away. You can't just do the, high intensity shooting that you sometimes do and then you have to cull images for 14 hours. You have to take a minute between each shot to actually advance the film, take a step back, take a pause, and then do the next shot. And I do appreciate that. We also have the exposure compensation ring up here, which is also a physical dial. Love that. And it just adds another layer of creative control. So you can shoot however you want to shoot and have it be a proper physical setting. And that is something that you can change while you're locked into film mode. So I think that really helps. We've got a cold shoe up here, and you can attach it to a tripod with a thread at the bottom. And then there's the battery pack right here, but you can also charge this camera with a USB-C charger. And since you can also do videos with this, there's a very convenient movie switch right here, so you can just switch back and forth between still and movie. Okay? And you've got the playback button because if you're not locked in film mode, you can actually look at your photos. So you're not totally strapped to the film mode. You can also shoot it like a regular Fujifilm camera. Try out all of the fun film simulations. Also has the really pretty engraving up here, which I always like with Fujifilm cameras. It also comes not only in this very classy silver and black style, it also comes in charcoal and fully black. And I think all three of them are really pretty. All right, after shooting all day, I'm about to develop my film and review all the images that I took today, and I actually cannot wait to see what I got, if I got anything, if they turned out good, we'll see. So right now when I look on the camera, all I see is the film canisters, But with the app, I can actually then develop the images and see them appear. And it's all designed around classic film developing, which I think is really pretty. So definitely very interesting to see the frames pop up and you kind of get a little bit of a preview of whether or not things look good. But let's take a look at a few actual images that I took on this roll. So one of the things I like most about this style of photographing is that you separate the act of photographing and the act of viewing your images or even critiquing it. So those are two separate processes. This camera reintroduces that process of separating the photographing and the viewing. And I really like that because it gives you a little bit more creative freedom while you're shooting without having to control every shot and control everything about a composition. It gives a little bit more of that element of chance again that film gives. And I love the way these photos turned out, and I didn't have to overthink it while shooting. And it's nice to have that little bit of a surprise once you have the roll developed of seeing your images. And then you can critique it and you can see what you want to do next time you go out. But the creative aspect has already happened and now you're viewing your work. And I think it's nice to have those two processes separated. And that's what this camera does. And like I said before, I think this is a great camera for professionals even that want just a very simple workflow, because you don't need a computer for this. You don't need to put your SD card into a computer or pull up any editing software. You have finished images on your phone, ready to post, ready to share with anybody. And I've mentioned the instant gratification thing before, but I just want to reiterate how nice it feels to not immediately see your image and to have a little bit of separation there, because it does create a need for patience, and I already am used to that because I do shoot a lot of film, but I think a lot of us who shoot mostly digital are maybe missing a little bit of that joy of anticipation that we used to have with film. And I think this is a great camera to introduce it to maybe a newer audience or people who are only used to shooting digital. I would say give this a try because it really creates a different workflow and a different mindset around photographing, and I personally really enjoy that. The other thing that happens when you limit yourself to 36 frames is that the art of storytelling and sequencing comes back to photographing. So for example, the day trip to the beach or what we did today in the park, it becomes a unit. The 36 frames become a unit in itself that tell a story of that day or that trip or that party or whatever. And the art of sequencing is more emphasized again than if you have a gallery of 1,000 digital photos that you then have to cull through for hours. Diptychs, for example, are something you can do in camera with this, and I think that challenge, that creative challenge to have two images together, I think that's good for us. I think it's good to be challenged like that as photographers sometimes, because we have all the technology available that we would need. At this point, we're pretty good at making cameras, but this camera asks a different question. It asks what would happen if we go a different route, and to have a camera that limits you in a certain way, I think that is a very good challenge. The last feature I want to talk about is that you can pair the Fujifilm X1/2 directly with the Instax printers. And that means that you can take photos with this mirrorless camera and print them on the spot essentially and have beautiful prints while shooting. If you've used Instax Minis before, then you're familiar with the options of zooming in, zooming out, doing your composition on the screen, but now you can do that on the Fujifilm X1/2 directly. And you have a bunch of creative freedom when it comes to printing either the minis or the wides. And you don't need any phone, you don't need any other technology, you can print directly from this camera. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed watching me test out this new Fujifilm X1/2. And for me personally, this camera is definitely coming with me on my weekend trips, but let me know what you think about all the features I mentioned today. I want to hear it. Let me know in the comments below. Bye.
Introducing the new Paybu credit card. You can save the tax or choose special financing for your purchases made on your Paybu credit card. It's easy. The new Paybu card, same funny name, your choice of exclusive benefits. Apply today.